The 5 are slamming the supply chain handling, saying we are in a danger zone. I do agree, by the way.
President
And
Biden
I love this. I love the coverage from, oh my God, what is this, like 10p? What the fuck is this
facing
quality?
a nightmare.
I love this because it's like, this is the audience that would be most impacted by it. You know what I mean? The petite bourgeois, the small business tyrants. These are the motherfuckers who are going to be most impacted by this. Because like, if you're a consumer and you work every day and you're like, man, I want a nice treat for myself, but yeah, whatever. It's not coming in on time. That's one thing. But the real people impacted by this are going to be the small business owners who are like, oh no, one, we can't deliver the fucking treats on time to the other treat boys. And two, they themselves want like their nice purchases and they can't get it. And that's fucked up. It's like, dude, if there is a God, okay, or if there is some sort of like karmic justice, they're a fucking asshole. Okay. It's not lined up in favor of the good. Okay, good things are not happening. It's just bad things that are happening. Okay, no good things, only bad things. And what I mean by that is because like just everything is stacked up against, everything is stacked in favor of Donald Trump. Stacked in favor of Donald Trump getting reelected.
Come Christmas time, thanks to rising inflation and a supply crisis, gifts are going to cost you a fortune. And that's even if you're lucky enough to snag anything, thanks to massive delays rocking the supply chain. Store shelves are looking pretty empty as U.S. ports struggle to unload deliveries. And get this, major retailers are actually being forced to charter their own ships. And on top of all of that, Biden's massive spending plans are set to make things 100 times worse. He's set to address the supply crisis tomorrow, he says. And Jen Psaki was pressed on why the president isn't being more forceful with the unions to loosen work restrictions that would ease the flow of goods.
We have taken steps at times when warranted to loosen restrictions, as you saw in reaction to some natural disasters we've had over the course of the year. Ultimately, the president's focus is addressing the needs, the challenges, and the threats to the American people to their well-being, to their economic well-being, and he'll consider a range of options. But again, the supply chain task force has been working for months to address these issues.
The task force. And where's Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg? He hasn't been to a White House briefing since this whole crisis started. And when he manages to get in front of a camera, he doesn't say much.
We do believe there's a role for the federal government to play to help smooth out some of these supply chain issues. It's largely a private sector system. We are funding, of course, as a department, a lot of work on the rails, on the roads, and supporting trucking, which is also a
Oh, dude, if there's any sweet victory, it's that Biden, that old fuck, who still has a little bit of spunk in him. You know what I mean? Like old conniving, old school conniving politician spunk in him, shifts the blame in its entirety onto Pete Buttigieg, front loads all of that to him, and just destroys any fucking chance that Pete has at like winning the Democratic nomination. Oh fuck, that would be so good. He just like he put Kamala in charge of the border, okay, and now everyone's yelling about like, why is Kamala not at the border? And now this shit's popping off. If he just turns around and he's just like, come on, Jack, I put the young guy on it. You know, the gay one. Figure it out, Buttigieg. Oh, Jesus Christ. Cut the malarkey, I said. And then everybody's just like yelling at him for not being able to get a fucking PS5 or whatever. Oh, that'd be so sick. That would be so excellent, dude. It's like, oh.
Big issue. We've got some real challenges on the labor side with the turnover of truck drivers that can make it harder to get goods to where they need to go. Some of this is a bigger picture, longer term issue that's going to take years and years to address.
Years and years to address, Dana. Wow. Kind of a laid-back attitude from the administration.
Is there like no urgency for anything?
No.
Like why we just feel so much urgency during the campaign?
The treats. Is there no urgency for this? I mean, they are speaking to their audience perfectly, by the way. This is literally like the best This is commentary that fits perfectly within the realm of whatever the fuck Fox News watchers want. They want to know when their fucking, jalapenos are coming. The
For
jalapeno
president during the
poppers.
primary campaign. Joe Biden said about Mayor Pete that he's so inexperienced that while Joe Biden's been in Washington all this time, he's only been putting twinkly lights under a bridge. I mean, that was how insulting he was to him. And now you have somebody who was literally in charge of the ports and the airlines. And he's like, yeah, I'm hanging out with AOC at the dog park. Yesterday, he tweeted about Indigenous Peoples Day. And you think, again, I mentioned this yesterday about Kamala Harris. Like, you are in these positions of power. You're in a position to do something, or at least.
Yeah, why is the big government not commanding the private sector? Love it. I'm on board. Let's do it. Hey, that's socialism. You can clip that and be like, oh my God, socialism is when big government commands the private sector, blah, 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 and then fucking cry about it for hours, okay? Are they really complaining about how the government is not big enough? Yeah, I fucking don't get it, dude. I don't know what's going on there. It's kind of strange. Kind of seems like they want some good old wholesome big government interference there.
Let people know we care. Thing says return to normal like a shortage of toilet paper, which is what we're about to see. And we are getting into this crisis of confidence danger zone. When little Jesse Jr. can't get his Christmas presents, that's going to be bad.
Oh, no.
That will be bad, and he will not be happy about it. However, I think there's another thing here. It's beyond people not getting Christmas presents. Think of all the companies and the people who do seasonal holiday work, right? Where they're helping ship things out and get things on the stores. All those companies that hire people for the holidays, there will be no need to do that.
You're an elf.
And what's the ripple effect?
You're an elf at the mall.
I know. You and I have so much fun doing that.
Great.
I know.
Though Santa's always drunk.
And we do it for free.
Yeah, that is true.
All right, Greg, was it 2 months ago, Joe Biden came out and said, our experts believe, this is a quote, that these bottlenecks and price spikes will reduce as our economy continues to heal. That was 2 months ago.
First, I got to point out that the best part about the story is that there's a backlog of toilet paper. The worst thing to have when there's no TP is a backlog. So, yeah.
Great, dude. Most popular. This is the king of late night, by the way. Love that. Absolutely love that.
Thank you.
That's about the best joke he's told this season.
Really? You haven't been yet.
If you combine,
true.
so what we're seeing right now is we're combining inflation with scarcity. This is a new thing. So we're finally getting the dystopia that the media said Trump was going to bring us, except it's old Joe who's bringing us Soylent Green and bringing us to the Thunderdome that Trump didn't. I think our political leaders, while you're not sensing the urgencies, don't mind these problems. They don't mind that you pay more for gas because you drive less, right? Yeah. And the fact that you have less money in the bank means you have to rely on them. So it becomes more of a government state. So there's no urgency. Their kids are going to get the gifts that your kids aren't going to get because that's why they're in politics, to be exempt from the scarcity that we have to deal with. Remember
What? Wait, one, who was the president when we ran out of toilet paper? And two, politicians got into politics so they can get the treats before everybody else. What? I'm getting into politics to get my friend a PS5 for Christmas. Please vote for me. The First Amendment was a fucking mistake. Yeah, every day I get closer and closer to a Chinese-style authoritarian grip on what the press can and can't say. The more I watch Fox News, the more I'm like, maybe we should jail fucking pundits. Of course, in a situation like the United States of America, the first pundit that was going to jail would be me and not these fucking reactionary weirdos. But, I just dream away, I guess. But like, holy fuck, dude.
Politicians in power did nothing about crime because it didn't affect them, and they still haven't. They preached total lockdowns because they were exempt from the total lockdowns. We need to abandon the idea that these people in power actually give a damn about us. The only way you're going to get any urgency out of them is if they get scared.
I mean, he's not wrong. The people in power don't give a fuck about us, right? And I agree, right? But also, but you're like an advocate for the Republican Party regularly. So what the fuck does that mean? These guys never criticize Republicans, like ever. At least I criticize the Democratic Party all the time. Probably more than I fucking ever give them props for doing the right thing. Also, you guys are all like multimillionaires. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, oh, we're not going to be able to cut the line. What the fuck is that? Listen, motherfucker. You and I, we can make do without the treats, okay? Let's talk. King of late night comedy, Greg Gutfeld. King of late night Twitch streams or daily Twitch streams, HasanAbi, okay? Let's talk mano y mano. What is this, like, politicians are doing this so they can cut the line and get the treats? Good old fake populism went out of power from right wingers. I mean, they did that hand to hand. Is that what mano y mano means? I thought it was fucking man to man.
Greg's point, yes, they're not going to be affected by the rise in prices, Dagan, but it's also a PR thing for them. They don't want to appear that anything is a crisis.
Right.
They want to appear that they have everything under control, and this is just a smooth recovery. And that's not sitting well with the American people who are actually affected by this.
Right, they're trying to remain calm. Instead, they come across.
How can you claim to be an LA guy and not know basic Spanish? Motherfucker, I'm fluent in a different language. Shut the fuck up, bitch. Sorry that my fucking proficiency and my first language is Turkish. My bad. A country that is like incredibly far removed from Latin America. Like, I just didn't fucking learn Spanish.
As uncaring asses.
Right.
This is what happens when people in power act according to their ideology and don't act according to basic economic fundamentals. Everything described here in terms of the supply chain problems, the labor shortages, the spike in inflation is a self-inflicted wound by the Biden administration. It's intentional, and even if it wasn't directly related to some of the recovery from the pandemic, it is certainly exacerbating all the troubles. One, you don't pay people to stay at home. So you have the labor shortage, almost 10.5 million.
Like, what were they supposed? First of all, Donald Trump did that. And I praise the fucking administration for doing that, even though they low-key had to do that. And also, what was the counter? Were they supposed to get fucking murdered? Like, what kind of take is this, bro? What is this? Some motherfuckers' jobs isn't just to sit in front of a camera and be like, man, this sucks, get back to work, you slaves. And I say this as a fucking Twitch streamer, okay? So that's the difference between someone like this fucking evil villain-looking Andy over here and someone like myself, okay? It's so wild. Like, these ghouls, they're literally like, why are the workers getting paid to survive and exist when they can't work? Nuts, dude. And they never asked that same question to, like, why are small businesses being kept afloat by the government? Where did the fucking PPP loans go to? How many of these businesses were prosecuted for misusing the funds that they got, the loans that they got from the government?
Jobs still open. There are 3 million people who have completely left the labor force. But then you pay people extra, say unemployment that started earlier this year, it just expired, but you don't juice demand while supplies are tight. And this task force they're talking about, because that creates inflation, this task force is ludicrous because we've known since at least beginning of this year that the ships coming in were going to be a huge headache. That's when the big retailers started worrying about it. In terms of energy prices, this, again, is intentional. You cancel the Keystone XL pipeline, you cancel all new permits for drilling on federal land, and then you, in a crisis, beg OPEC to pump more, which does nothing to fight global warming. And you know who gets screwed in all of this? The small businesses. They don't have inventory, and they have nothing to sell to raise revenue. They can't even pay. A woman burst into tears here in New York City. They're not going to get inventory, rug inventory, until next year. They might not make it through the holiday season because they can't pay their rent.
Your thoughts, Geraldo?
Well, I think that you're putting way too much blame on Joe Biden. Not that that is surprising. I understand that he's an easy target, but we've lived through the most disruptive health crisis in a century. We've lost 700,000 Americans. It is not surprising that not just Joe Biden, but the owner and the guy who runs Walmart and all the Target and all the other big stores, Amazon, they didn't anticipate this phenomenon either. He had all these people getting all this money. Here's $1,400 check.
Wait a second. Dagan just said they did anticipate it, and that was months and months ago.
Who's they that they anticipated?
All
what
the big
did they
retailers.
Anticipate? Listen, if you have a ship and you order the...
It's fucking bullshit. This notion that, like, people were anticipating this and, like, seeing that it was going to be this bad. I mean, sure, people thought there were going to be bottlenecks. But the problem is that, like, no one knew it was going to be this bad until recently when it started becoming a serious fucking problem. And ultimately, do they have this guy in the audience? Yeah, exactly. He is the villain. He is the villain type here. He's the voice of reason, unfortunately. Anyway.
Product in January and it gets there in March. Don't order it in March, the 2 weeks before you need it, because you're trying to save money, spending money on inventory. I think it's really cruel. Let me just give you a personal story quickly. My youngest just turned 16. as I did with all of my children, I got her a car. Well, I got her a Mini. Okay. And I got her older sister and the oldest sister, they all got Minis.
Flex.
I sat down. It was great celebration. Oh, Sol, you're 16. You passed your driver's test. Isn't this great? The car's going to be delivered in 4 months.
Nah.
I mean, it's like crazy, but these people...
You are truly suffering, Geraldo.
And
your brand new car is delayed by 4 months.
Oh, listen to the populist.
This cold winter without your Mini.
Listen to the populist, who lives in his mansion in Greenwich Village.
I wish.
My point is that this is a cascading problem where plenty of people are responsible and didn't
But
anticipate.
Geraldo, this is the President of the United States. He says the buck stops with him.
What if it was Trump?
Everybody knew this was coming months before, and now he has a task force. Okay?
But he had one
the task
in February,
force hasn't
too.
done anything.
They had a commission in February, and they reported in June, the Biden administration, on the supply chain issues. And one of the things they said is, you know what we need? More green energy.
Oh, it's always green energy. It's always the answer to everything.
They like the high gas prices because it forces people to use green energy that doesn't make any economic sense unless gas is at $3.
What the fuck does that even mean? Green energy isn't even fucking green at the moment. Like, what does that even mean? They like high gas prices? Like, why? No, nobody likes that. Like, that's literally not how this works, man. What the fuck? I feel like she's just saying shit. High gas prices impact every part of the economy. Okay, we work on the petrodollar. It is a significant source of revenue, and it impacts every sector. Like, it's not like trucks are fucking running on green energy, and even then it would be like, it's not like fleets are fucking running without gas, and even then it's still like, how do you charge those things? Nobody likes high gas prices. That's so fucking stupid. It's like, the thing that annoys me about this sort of stuff is that, like, they just fucking totally make shit up, right? And then your fucking parents believe it. Like, they are literally making a living making your parents dumber than they originally were before listening to it.
50 cents a
And
gallon
we all
or 5.
Pray for that Mini to come as soon as possible.
Thank you. Thank you.
The pandemic